Lost in punishments, blessing fates, hate chains, fear to power. But the power of love won't cower. Baptized in hope, love's victory will flower. Speak love, hate falls from its tower. A shadow falls on freedom from hate surging, its cruelty darkening lives free. Tolerant hold false blaming, free hearts imprisoned or on parole. Speak love, hate withers without a soul. Hate finds its friends in hearts grown cold, and greatness dies in violent pride. But freedom still cries a liberation from dark hate's lies. Speak love, destroy fear which hate denies. Faith in love can never die, weakening any hateful lie. Honest love you can rely, and freedom's wings will make it fly. Speak love, hate falls from its tower.
Okay. Brave love. We need empathy around the world. And, since MAGA wants to bring religion into politics, well, let's think about the Lord's Prayer for a minute. And forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Look deeply into that. What does that mean? It means a punishing attitude makes hypocrites of us all. And all of this hatefulness going on. Hate, you can't build anything on hate. You can't make great accomplishments just on hate. Hate destroys. So, what are we, go ahead, please do follow Jesus, whether you believe he's supernatural or not, or whatever. He said a lot of good things. So, MAGA, pay attention. This kind of hatefulness is, in the song that you just heard, it's about hate denying, the fear that engenders it. It's like, I'm just angry, and righteously so, and really, there's fear there. That's why they say a bully, there's a coward underneath. And, so what does America come to? We were all getting along, at least to some degree, before Trump came along. And now we're not getting along. Well, hate divides people. So the most important thing is to get a dialogue going about the importance of empathy and abandoning punishing attitudes. You know, it is what it is, where it is, and people should be sorrowful, you know, for the times when nations and individuals have done bad things. But you know, I hear this punishing attitude on on both sides of the aisle. It's like, Trump is a very sick man. You know, and you don't fix a television by beating it up. You know, you should feel sorry for him. You shouldn't let him be the president of your country. You know, psychologists have said he's a malignant narcissist. You know, that's not a good thing. You know, but that's just a sickness. You don't have to be hating on the guy. He just, he needs to be in a nursing home, taken good care of in his last years, and maybe trying to help him, if possible. But you can't give him power. It's crazy. You don't give power to people who spew hate and division. You don't do that. If you do that, you hurt everybody. And so, that's something that we need to be concerned about, and there's this, addiction going on, which, this channel's addressed, I think, at least remotely from time to time. And it's called greed and thirst for power, which is, to me, just another form of greed, really, isn't it? It's an addiction. People are afraid to let go. They're, as Jesus said, they're counting on something in this world to save them. So they get this idea, they lose their wealth, they've lost it all. That's not true. You can't let that become an addiction for you. If it's an addiction, then you need to start getting rid of some of that wealth. And how can you do that? You can do that with charitable kind of gifts. And first of all, if you respect and honor other people in your country, you pay higher taxes because you've basically been gaining your wealth off of hardworking people below you. I mean, that's just a fact. There would be no trains or buses or tanks or anything else made without people making them. So, or people guiding the machines, increasingly now that make them. You need those people, and what is this thing, this work ethic thing that I hear about a lot, which really seems to be an excuse for one person to say, "Oh, Joe over there, he ain't working hard enough." Yeah, says who? But maybe old Joe has a heart condition. He's doing the best he can, and if you have empathy for people, you take care of people. And you don't have punishing attitudes. We have more people in prison in our country, in the United States, speaking as someone in the United States, than China, I've heard. This punishing attitude, and then couple it with greed, so that it's a for-profit thing. Beating people over the head, and making their lives miserable because they made a mistake doesn't fix them. Doesn't even get them to a point of proper remorse. But does that is healing them from their own damaged faith and love, which this universe hands out freely. So, this is something you need to consider. For the loyal people who've been seeing this channel for a while, I really appreciate you. I haven't been working on it. I've lost my main helper because he's busy in the trenches trying to stop our fall into a dictatorship. So kudos to the hero Mike. But like I say, it's about a discussion between people, and a polite one if we can manage it, and something empathetic. Helping each other out. I mean, how many times have I, you're driving down the road, if you're like me and you're flawed, you drive down the road and you see somebody do something that seems really stupid. And then you think, you have time to reflect, and you go, oh, that's why they did that. Or, maybe they were preoccupied by big doctor bills or something, and, they just had a death in the family, and, their mind was distracted. Please. We come together with empathy. We function as a democracy with empathy. And that's what's really and truly important. So, please leave your discussions. Please share the video if you like it. Not if you don't, But comment, At least give your thoughts. What good is your freedom of speech if you don't use it? So step in, say what you feel, what you want, and what you think, and let's try to be empathetic with one another, and tolerant. It's amazing that Jesus, MAGA's supposed to be following, really. He sat down with those who were the greatest sinners of his time, and was chastised for sitting there with those people, people he called hypocrites. Remember that? I'm just talking about how we become hypocrites. But he said, hey, the healthy don't need a physician, it's the sick. Compassion, empathy. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. It said that on the cross. So, MAGA, are you really following Jesus? I really doubt it. And as far as sharing things in common, having a sharing attitude, that's at the core of Christianity. Sharing everything. And having great wealth was frowned upon. And now you worship wealth. Are you scared of it? Well, all that hatred, it denies the fear. Yeah. You need to take a good look at the fear and realize what's frightening you. And be brave. Have brave love. Demand that people that make tremendous amounts of money don't make so much money they can buy the government. And there's too much of that happening around the world. And, they should at least pay their fair share of taxes. And what is a fair share? Well, it means that there's a proper investment in our children and in our elderly, and a compassionate rehabilitation people who make mistakes. And that includes people who are sometimes thought of as political enemies. Yeah. So let's not throw anybody into prison the way it exists today if we can help it. Let's, where we have to, let's make prisons more comfortable and more about healing the way Jesus would have it, so that we don't become outrageous hypocrites ourselves. And so, call me lefty. Well, Jesus was pretty lefty in that case. And you say you follow him? What? No, I don't think so. That's not Jesus. The Jesus who said, so you want to follow me, rich young man? Well, give all you have to the poor, then come follow me. He went away sorrowful, because for him, his wealth was his life. It was everything. Yeah. Don't invest in the material world. Everything dies here. It's called entropy. Physicists talk about it. Why not invest in love, which has a chance of going on, at least for a while? You don't have love without empathy. And I talk about it a lot, empathy is important, objective, creative, and compassionate. Talk about it on both my channels. The use of the principle of empathy is very important in how you talk to yourself, and that's on my other channel, which I'll give you a shout out about. It's inner empathy, and it's something very healthy to do. Back to the point, we need your thoughts. Don't just watch this and agree or disagree, Is your fingers broke? Okay, if not, then, tell us in text what you think. Agree, disagree, partially agree, think you could improve on the message, let me know. That helps the channel. And, I'm a team of one right now, so I could use other people helping out with all manner of things with this channel. And so some of you who are much wiser than I am on those things, well, join. But let's get a discussion going, and let's bring ourselves together with empathy. Yeah. Those are my opinions. What are yours? Be sure to include them. And share the video if you want other people to engage with you and get a bigger discussion going. Yeah, do that. Have a wonderful day, and remember, you're not just in a world of wonder, you're part of it.